All right, everybody. Thank you all for being here. It's exciting to get 2025 started, get to meet a lot of members of this new staff. Here in just a few minutes, we'll hear from our Director of Athletics, Christian Spears. We'll follow with head coach Tony Gibson, and Coach Gibson will introduce our coordinators who are here, and they've been working feverishly. I know that everybody in this room knows that I pace around a lot. These guys have been pacing around and working just as hard as me the last few weeks and getting after it. So great to have them here. Thank you all for being here. And without anything further, we'll have Director of Athletics, Christian Spears.
Thank you, Grant. I really appreciate you bringing us together. We do have a great announcement today. I'm excited to introduce Coach Gibson and for him to introduce his staff. But let's start with this. The decisions we make impact the lives of other people's children. It's a lesson that I was provided by a mentor who had that same lesson provided to her by her mentor. And in fact, I spent 8 years with Heather, and she had a sign above her door to remind us every single day that the decisions we make impact the lives of other people's children. So one of the most difficult decisions I think I've ever made in my career, and I know Brad Smith and I were hand in hand on that, as well as our university leadership, we all understood how difficult that decision was to opt out of the bowl game. And we made it for all the right reasons. Health and safety is paramount here. We always want to make sure that our student athletes know that their care and the way we look after them is always going to be fundamentally what we do as an institution, as an athletic program. Again, those decisions impact the lives of other people's children. So we made that decision to opt out. Now, the timing of that decision was difficult, and it put people in jeopardy. It harmed our conference. It harmed Army, a team and a program that we were very excited to play. Getting to compete against a service academy is an honor, and not being able to field a team that day was an extreme disappointment. The impact that it had to the ESPN, our bowl partner at the Independence Bowl, we can't replace our not participating in that game. So all we can do is sincerely apologize and take the lessons that we've learned from this experience, try to ensure that it never happens here and it never happens anywhere in college athletics. We are excited about the dialogue that's happening nationally right now around some rule changes to make sure that no other institution ever has this happen. But in good conscience, we could not put out 41 student athletes out onto that field. And again, we are always going to prioritize the health and safety of our student athletes. But that doesn't take away the fact that a sincere and formal apology is due, and we are very appreciative of being a part of the Sun Belt Conference, the leadership of Commissioner Gill, and we will accept the fine that's been imposed, and we will move forward and continue to be a valued member and hopefully represent this community in the way it expects, right? Marshall football is critically important to this community. We all know it's built on relationships. We all know what we've endured here, and this is not who Marshall University is. Right? And we owe it to this community to put out a group of student athletes, a team that represents us with the expectations that this community has. And we're going to continue to do that. That's why I'm super excited to introduce the future of our football program, our brand new head coach who has absolutely hit the ground running. I don't even know what the count is at this point, 48, 50 new student athletes, 55 new student athletes. But more importantly, the staff that he has brought together with the multiple connections to Marshall and the multiple connections to the state of West Virginia, the culture in this building, the attitude and atmosphere, the support staff feeling, the student athletes that are here, the student athletes that are coming, it is a phenomenal atmosphere that Coach Gibson has created in a very short period of time. Without further ado, our brand new head football coach, the 32nd head football coach, Tony Gibson.
All right, I've already had my press conference. It's time to talk football now. But first off, thank you all for coming out, supporting our program. Christian mentioned it. 7 of the 11 full-time coaches have ties to the state of West Virginia or Marshall. So that was really big for me through this process of getting guys lined up that want to be here and want to be a part of this university and this community. Very important for all of us. It took me, not only were we recruiting for 30-some straight days, but I was looking for a house for 30-some straight days. So I finally found one. I'm going to be close. I'm going to be living in Barbersville, so I'm not going to give my address yet because I don't want fans over there yet. So, but just, you know, the other two people that really, really spearheaded this recruiting were Sydney Spears and Quentin Cunningham. Those guys were lead recruiters, lead into all this, getting kids on our campus. We had when the first snow hit, we walked down 3rd Avenue to Applebee's. That was the only place we could find open. We had probably 15 recruits, parents, that we were going through the snow, and but they just found a way and kept finding a way. So, and I don't want to talk about our recruits yet because we're still actively recruiting a couple guys. We still are going to sign a few more guys. And then we have some high school kids that we will sign in February. So once we get through that February signing day, we will release the roster. But they've done a heck of a job. Right now, the rankings have been coming out. We're top 5 in the country right now, and we're number 1 in the Sun Belt. So our staff has done a tremendous job. Our people around campus have done a great job with our academics, our administration. Everybody's been a part of this, and I can't thank them enough. So a couple other important things I want to talk about. Spring ball. So obviously we're getting ready into our next phase. Right now we're in our winter workouts. Our spring ball, our first date of that will be March 4th. And what we would do, we would practice every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the reason I do that is I preach family and want people to, you know, we want this to be a family atmosphere, and I talk, it's really, really important to me, families. So I give our guys the weekends to spend time with their families, and their young kids are playing soccer, basketball. I want them to be a part of that with them, and I want our kids to be able to have a life outside of football and give them weekends as well. So that's the way we'll run our spring ball. But our spring game will be April 12th at 3 p.m. And you know, we're going to have a great time with that game. It's going to be real football for a half, and then after that, we'll decide what we're going to do moving forward from that. But I'm looking forward to getting started with these kids. We had 108 guys at our first team meeting on Monday. They're excited. They're excited for the change, the new beginnings. They've worked really hard this week in the weight room, doing things the right way, and I know they're excited to keep moving forward. And my message to them is everything that we do right now is leading up to August 30th. That's what we have in sight. And we do have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of new guys, all new coaching staff except Coach Street. Our schemes, what we're going to do with our schemes, you guys know my background with defense, Coach Morrison, Coach Smith, Coach Jackson White. We're going to make it Marshall schemes. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to stay stale and do the things maybe that we've always done. We're going to add to them, and we're going to get them to fit Marshall and fit our personnel. So we're really excited about that. We're in meetings right now. These guys are working their tails off of getting our schemes, playbooks, all those things put together. And just looking forward to getting started with our kids on the grass. So with that.
Yeah, with that, raise your hand and I'll bring the mic around for questions.
Coach, with the recruiting class still taking shape, how difficult was it to convince kids, and with NIL and the transfer portal and the way that the previous coach had left? Was it tough to convince kids, you know, to come, and how'd you do it? Just what was your mindset going into recruiting?
We were genuine and we were real. You know, kids want opportunities, and my selling point was this: you're starting fresh with the new staff. We have a lot of open spots. You come and compete. And I told them about the history of Marshall. Every level that Marshall's ever been, they've won, and won big and won championships. And we're going to continue that as we move forward. And then selling them on the community and how much it means to people here. And so it's an easy sell being at Marshall.
Recruiting aside, were there any short-term challenges that you had to face once you really got into being the head coach at Marshall?
No, not really. We've had relationships, and some of the guys that we brought they were in the portal from schools we came from, so that was the easy part for us. The hardest part of recruiting was all this snow we got. And we're telling them, it really doesn't snow a lot in Huntington. You don't have to worry about that. And we get hit with 12, 13 inches the one weekend, so that was a tough sell. But other than that, it's, we're recruiting, selling what we can do for them. And that's the thing. If you build a culture, and I think that parents, the kids that were in my office and with our coaches felt that we were genuine people and we were real people. And that's how you get a kid. And if your culture's good, that's what are going to keep kids in your program the way college football is right now. It's not about the NIL. It's about what can we do for them? What can we do as people? We all have kids. We all have wives. And, selling them on the family and the values that we're going to instill in their young men when they get here.
Coach, football-related question. As a former defensive coordinator, I'm sure you're used to calling the defensive schemes, and now with Coach Morrison here, are you going to start off by, being the head of that and switch it to Morrison, or how's that going to work out throughout the year?
Yeah, we've talked about it. I'm always going to be a part of the defense. I know the defensive staff probably doesn't like that. Right now, they've been meeting on their own because I've had 1,000 other things to do. But what I'm going to be there for is support. I hired Shen to do a job and hired the rest of these guys to do a job, and I'm going to let them do their job. I'm not going to micromanage. I'm going to be there to help. I'm going to be there for a sounding board for him. And, if there's times that, we need to fix some things, I'll be able to help him do that.
Coach, in the past, signing day was the foundation of building a roster. It seems like it's changed. I think there was 40 new Marshall football players last year. You said over 50 this year. How do you retain your roster year to year?
It's your culture. I think it's the people that you have that we put in front of those kids every day, and then the love for each other. Like I told the kids in a meeting, there's going to be some expectations here. We're going to play really hard, and we're going to play really fast, and we're going to play very physical as we play this game. And then also I think that when they get to go sit in Coach Smith's home, Coach McDowell's home with his family and eat dinner and know that we care about them outside of this facility, we're not going to keep all of them, but we're going to keep the ones that want to be here. And those are the ones that we want to coach, guys that want to be a part of this. And we're going to have a very, very strong culture that they're going to love each other and love this place.
Just when it comes to the ties to West Virginia, how important is that to the recruitment aspect of building that culture of it being sort of almost like a hometown type of atmosphere?
Yeah, that was very key for me of getting 7 of the 11 guys that were, again, tied to Marshall or this state. Because when you're selling this to a parent and they're saying, well, Coach, you guys are leaving and guys leave. Well, look, I've signed a 5-year deal. These guys are from here. Well, there's a lot of these coaches. We've been all over this country, and we all came here for a reason. And, we're home, so where else do we need to go? We want to be right here and build this thing the right way and continue to win championships at Marshall and put us, keep us on the map.
All right, we got time for just a couple more from Coach if anybody wants to raise their hand. If not, well, thank you very much, Coach Gibson, for coming in here, and we'll take a brief break. That way he can go ahead and get out. Anybody else that needs to exit can do so at this time, and then we'll bring up offensive coordinator Rod Smith.
All right, thank you, guys.
All righty. Next up, we have offensive coordinator Rod Smith. He will open with a statement, and then raise your hand, and I'll bring the mic around for questions.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for having me. It's definitely a blessing for me to be here. I want to thank Coach Gibson and the entire administration of Marshall for allowing me the opportunity to be a part of such a great university. To have the opportunity to come back to my home state, the great state of West Virginia, I can't tell you how proud that makes me feel, how excited I am, and I can't wait to get my family up here as well. Our staff's been hard at it, like Coach Gibson told you. We've been grinding away, getting after it, whether it be recruiting or meeting on X's and O's, doing things, trying to get to know our players. That's been a chore for me, trying to figure out all 108, right, Coach? 108 players, and we're trying to know them all, not just your side, but know them all. And so it's been exciting and challenging, but exciting. We're trying to find a home as well, and so it's been a process. But it's like drinking water through a fire hose, but we're going to get there where we need to be. So, got a great staff with us. I think coaches did a great job of hiring a staff. Coach Rob McDowell's our running back coach. He was with me at Jack State for the last 3 years, did a great job. Coach Bob McLean, we've been together at multiple stops at Michigan, West Virginia, Illinois. He coaches our offensive line. Coach Chancey Stuckey, our wide receiver coach. Stuck up. I actually recruited Stuck back when he was in high school. That's how old I'm starting to get. So it's making me feel a certain kind of way. But he has a tremendous background as well. And then Coach Gunnar Brewer, obviously, you guys know him. He's the legend from here, right? So excited to get a chance to work with those guys. And then one of our assistants, Landon Cornut, I brought with me for Jack State. He's going to serve like as an analyst role with us. So we have a great staff. Excited about the year ahead. Just, once again, can't wait to get going. This spring ball is going to be fun. Yeah, super excited. So with that, I'll open up any questions you guys might have for me.
Coach, fans are always excited about new offenses, what it's going to look like on the field. You have sort of an idea, is it going to be similar to, what maybe was at Jacksonville State, or, you have sort of a different way you want to run this offense? What's it going to look like for you?
It'll be very similar. I mean, there'll always be things that we try to tweak and try to stay ahead of the curve, per se. I mean, defenses are constantly evolving, just like offenses are. So you try to stay ahead. You try to stay on cutting edge of things. But we'll have a philosophy that we've always adhered to. We like to play with tempo. We like to spread people out and try to create matchups. And we always want to try to establish the run. And I know Coach Gibson believes the same thing. You win championships by controlling the line of scrimmage on the offensive side and the defensive side. So, we want to be able to do that. But we also want to be balanced, you know what I mean? So want to be able to probably be more balanced than we've had in the past, I'm hoping. It all depends on the evaluation of our players to see where we're at this spring. But that'll be a good test to see where we're at once the spring's over.
Coach, we saw what you did with Jacksonville State. Are you more of a guy that's kind of married to the dual threat kind of quarterback? This has been a place where the drop back guys have been really successful, but the game seems to indicate dual threats are the way to go nowadays.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I want the guy that's a winner, right? I don't care what he looks like or how he talks. If he talks like me or he talks a little bit more refined than I do, possibly, it don't really matter. I want a guy that's a winner. We can make it work with however. We just want to play to his skill set, to be honest with you. So the better that guy is, the more we can do with him.
Coach, obviously you come from Jack State, where Richard, offensive guy as a head coach, but now Gibson's defensive guy as a head coach. What's going to be kind of the difference for you where you're kind of the lead person completely, the whole program, with running the offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun, obviously. It's always a challenge, but that's also why you have a great staff around you. It's never one man. It's always a group. It's always a group effort. So, we'll put our heads down and we'll get after it. But I have some very experienced coaches around me. I'm gonna rely on Coach Gibson at times as well. You know what I mean? So we'll have a good group going after this thing.
When you talk about hitting the ground running and getting things going early, how good is the familiarity you may have with some of the fellow staff to be able to kind of get going as soon as you can there?
I think it definitely helps. At least on my side, it does. It was important, I think, to get guys that, and I think Coach did a great job, like I said, assembling this staff. But there was guys involved that I had familiarity with that just were commonality that make things smoother. And not only that, they had connections either to the state or to Marshall, which was kind of fits into his vision as well, which was kind of unique. So it definitely helps.
Any further questions for Coach Smith? All righty. Thank you very much, Coach Smith.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Next up, we're going to have a defensive coordinator I think everybody knows around here. He's known me for about 25 years now, which is scary for both of us. But defensive coordinator Shannon Morrison.
How we doing? Shannon Morrison, defense coordinator, coach of safeties. I tried to get out of this thing. This is not really my cup of tea. I tried to pretend I had laryngitis this morning, but he heard me in another meeting and I couldn't get out of it. So you got me. But just want to say I appreciate Coach Gibson for giving me the opportunity to come back. Administration here, President Smith. A.D. Spears, it's an honor and privilege to come back here and be the defensive coordinator. I know when Coach Gibson called me and offered me the job, I didn't ask salary, I didn't ask position, I just said when you need me there. I didn't have a long transition because I was living in Barboursville at the time, so Then he calls me on a Saturday. He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Putting together a treadmill. Get your butt over here. We need to get some DBs in the mix." So I immediately dropped what I was doing and went. But, I'm super excited to be back. Coach has brought in a great group of guys, and not just on the staff, but specifically on defense. The guys we have over there, Jared Holly as the corners coach, Jake Ellsworth is the linebacker coach, and then Ralph Street is the D-line coach. Very knowledgeable guys, great guys. Enjoy coming to work every day, and we've got good coaches over there, very knowledgeable, have come from different systems, and we're going to base out of Coach Gibson stuff, but then add some stuff to it too. So we're going to look forward to putting this thing together and figure out what kind of kids we got, and see what kind of identity we're going to build on defense. But like I said, super excited, and just can't wait to get started. I wish March 4th was tomorrow, to be honest with you, because I'm anxious to get going with these guys. But yeah. So, any questions?
Shannon, obviously you know the turf out there. You've been around a long time. What does it mean to you personally to have come through this program and done what you did, and then through the coaching ranks, back here, back again, and now the defensive coordinator?
Everything. It means the world to me. It's what I've been involved with. I think I've worked for every head coach since I got here except for Doc Holliday. And every time, it's one of those lines, every time you think you're out, they pull you right back in. But this was not a pull. This was a, let's go. When can I be there? So it means the world to me. This place means everything to me. It developed me as a person. It developed me into the person I am today. And I'm just super excited to be back, super excited to be here, and super excited to come to work every day. And, you learn something every day about somebody else or about what we're doing defensively, but it's a joy and a pleasure to be here and be back.
Just kind of build off that a little bit. Since you've been around, you bring that continuity to this program. How much of that are you going to try to instill in the people that maybe don't know the true extent of what Marshall football is about, or how much of that do you want to shape?
Share everything. I wore this one on purpose because we all know what that emblem is about. And that's where it starts. And that's where Marshall is Huntington and Huntington is Marshall. So these guys, the kids we have now, will understand that. I've talked to, coaches about the city, about this area. As much as I can share with them, or as much questions as they ask, I'll answer. But I know what the base is. I know what this fan base is like, and the positive and the negative. So, like I said, this place means the world to me, and I'm just super excited and happy to be back.
Coach Marshall kind of built a defensive culture. Mike Green's probably going to be a first-round pick, and now Coach Gibson's coming in. What's the importance of kind of keeping up that mantra, that culture of defense here while you're the defensive coordinator?
It's not very hard. We started this morning, the morning meeting off this morning with the standard that has been set here. And in the last 5 years, 3 out of the last 5 years, Marshall has either been in the top 25 or the top 10 in defense. So that culture, that hard-nosed, tough, get-after-you attitude's already been set. And it's up to us as a coaching staff to get the kids to understand, to buy in, that we're not playing games here. And we're tough, we're hard, and we're going to get after people. And the standard's been set by the groups in the past, the Hurd brothers that have been here before you, and it's up to us to get them to buy in and understand that. So, like I said, we started off the meeting this morning with that way, and so I think they're starting to understand how they fit and how that works here.
When it comes to the recruiting process, how does the familiarity that you have with the program kind of work to your guys' advantage when it comes to building that culture and everything?
It really, when a kid gets here and you sit down with them and you say, hey, A, B, C, D, this is where we are, this is the base, this is what happens here. There's people going to stop you in the restaurants and try to figure out who you are, and then they're going to Google you to see if you're on the roster. I said, don't make that, don't make that uncomfortable, because it's just how these people are. They want to be involved in the program. They want to be involved in your life, and it's a good thing. So embrace it. And so that's what I got to try to share with them on stuff like that.
All right. Do we have any further questions for Coach Morrison? All righty. Thank you, Coach Mo. All right. Next up, we've got a guy that makes me feel kind of ancient because I was just covering him a few years ago. But special teams coordinator Jackson White. It's kind of cool when you think about it, and I won't take too much of your time, but I looked around the room when we were starting this stuff, and from about 1991 when I first started. I was 8 years old and getting involved with Marshall, and then you look around this room and you've got 40 years of Marshall tradition in here. It's really special, and obviously this guy was a part of it too, with Jackson, being the most recent grad. But welcome, Jackson. Go ahead and
No,
open
I
up.
appreciate you. Love spending the time we spent together when I was here. And I appreciate all you guys being here. Coach Gibson for giving me the opportunity to come back to my alma mater. It's been a blessing, and to come back to Huntington and a community that's so tight-knit and that loves the Thundering Herd. I'm very excited to be back. I was talking to some of my teammates the other day, Matt Beardall and Ryan B. and all those guys, that when I left playing here, my goal was to come back and coach here. This is my dream job, to come back and coach here at the place where I played. And that, as soon as I left, that was what I wanted to do, is come back here and coach. And it's a true blessing to be able to do that, and kind of live out my dream. And with that being said, I'm not letting up. These special teams, I know you guys came for special teams, right? That's the exciting part, right? That's the part that gets the juices flowing. But, these guys are going to be tough, fast, hard-nosed players, right? We're going to have the most physical special teams on the field every time, right? We're going to be aggressive. We're going to block punts. We're going to return kicks. We're going to score every chance we get, right? And, hope we don't punt too much. I don't think we will, Coach Smith. But when we do, we're going to flip the field and pin them deep so we can, get a safety, all that stuff, right? And that's our job. That's my job, right? And I'm very excited to get to work, and I can't wait for March 4th to come around so we can see what we got. But appreciate you guys. You got any questions?
Same thing I asked earlier. You sort of have this continuity with the transition. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of familiar faces. What are you hoping to bring with that continuity? You've been here, you've played here, you know what it's about. What will you share? What will you try to shape?
Well, I think it's the brotherhood that Marshall brings, right? So I wasn't here too long ago. I played with some guys that played on that championship team last year. And they were freshmen when I was a senior, and they played 6 years, all that, right? So I think it's the brotherhood that comes with being here, right? And the community that comes with being in Huntington. And the fact that wherever you go, everybody's got their eyes on you, right? And that's a good thing, because they really care about this place. Everybody does. And I think it's a really cool atmosphere being in the locker room downstairs after you win that game, and Rev comes in and he knocks that door down and he says, "Get you some," right? And it's really fun. He's going to keep doing it, right? Because every time we win, he's going to run through that locker room and we're going to hammer down, right? And everybody that's been in that locker room knows what I'm talking about. And the rest of these guys that are new, they're gonna find out soon, right? Because that locker room's a special place, and that's what makes this place unique. It's not just Huntington, but it's the locker room, the brotherhood that everybody shares.
Coach, you mentioned you're going to have the most physical special teams with anyone you play. Is there, in the recruiting process, do you look at some players and you go, man, that guy's going to be a beast on special teams? Is that kind of in your mind when you're going through the recruiting process?
That's Coach Ellsworth's job. Yeah, he's gonna recruit some hard linebackers, physical linebackers. I'm gonna send them down on kickoff, and they're gonna run through someone's face. That's what's gonna happen. So,
Just follow up there, just with your experience as a very recent player, how does that factor in for you guys when it comes to adding new players and any of that content?
well, me being a player here, just kind of I'm able to relate to the guys and what they're going through here, and kind of help them move along in whether it's academics or off the field, whatever. I know kind of what to do, what not to do, right? I've seen it all, right? I've been a part of the good and the bad, right? So, but I can help them out in any way that they need, and whenever I get my wife moves up here, and hopefully in a couple weeks we close on a house, get them around and cook them some dinner. I'm a big cooker. I like to grill out, cook out, all that stuff. So I'll bring them over and make some food. Brock knows what I'm talking about. So. Yeah, so I'll have them over, but yeah.
Just from your perspective, it seems like special teams is continuing to get better and better at all levels of football. Just the excitement that you have to be part of that growth.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think our specialist room specifically is very talented, right? And you're right, like the kickers nowadays are hitting 60-yard bombs every other week, right? But my job is to make sure that they're the most consistent group on the field. I mean, if they hit a big ball, that's great. I want them to make the 35-yard field goal every time, right? That's what they need to do. And we got those guys. Like we're ready to roll, and I'm excited to see what they can do this spring and into the season. So,
One thing I'll ask, just out of curiosity, the special teams mindset. I know that this is something, when you were a player, you and I actually did a story on, the snap, the hold, and the execution of everything. But to have a special teams mentality and be sharp on special teams, what goes into that?
well, I think there's two different mindsets. The full special teams, the guys that are playing offense and defense, you got to have a different mindset to run down on kickoff, be on kickoff return, to be on punt. You got to be gritty, right? And then there's a different mindset of the specialist world, right? And it's that next kick mentality, okay? Because no one's going to be perfect. Stuff's going to happen, right? But every time you go on that field, you got to be locked in and know exactly what to do, and you have to have that physical repetition in your mind. And it's really just one rep at a time, and next kick mentality, next snap mentality, next punt, right? But that's the difference in mentalities between that. So,
Any further questions for Jackson? All righty, we'll wrap things up. Thank you all very much for being
Thank you,
here.
What are you looking forward to most?
Looking forward to the most this year is just really creating a new bond. Everybody say that everyone really left. Like, this how it is every year with the portal and everything now. Creating a new bond with the team and just trying to run it back as much as we can, really. I love the new coaching staff. I love Coach Gibson. And just get building trust and, respecting them.
You could have entered the portal. What made you stay?
What made me stay? There's a lot of things that made me stay, but the main things that made me stay was the best decision for me, really. Trusting the new coaching staff, this community, the fans, this university gave me so much. Being from Columbus, and I love it here, so I feel like I just want to give back to the community, be one of those guys that been here for a long time and just love Marshall, and I love it here. So,
As a former offensive lineman myself, you got a new offense. Have you talked to Coach Smith about it?
yes, sir, we have. The offense is the offense. It's a little bit of what it was last year, and then it's some of his new flavor. I like Coach Smith. I think he's a good OC. I heard good things about him. I like our new O-line coach, Coach McLean. I think everything will be good, though. I think the offense is going to be back and rolling like just how it was last year.
As an offensive lineman, you're just going one of three directions.
Yes, sir.
What makes you excited about coming into this with a new coach?
Makes me excited is I've never had a new head coach, really. I had new position coaches, but not really a new head coach. That's why I said that's another reason that made me come back is Coach Gibson. He's a real genuine guy. I believe him. I trust him. He wants to be here. Y'all heard on the news why he wants to be here and took the pay cut. But, I respect him as a man and as a coach.
Okay, first just talk about coming back, your decision to come back and play for Coach Gibson. Obviously, you guys have a relationship, but what went into your decision?
Well, Coach Gibson is one of the best coaches in the country. I was really excited to go down and play for him in Raleigh. And when I heard he was coming here, coach 15 minutes away from my house, there was absolutely no way I wasn't going to come back and play for Marshall. And I knew what kind of program he was bringing here, so I want to be a part of that.
For those that maybe don't know what kind of program he's going to be, what would you describe it as?
Well, he's a West Virginia native, so he's just all about toughness, just a blue-collar mentality, and just a hard-working guy, and he shoots you straight. Everything he says, he means, and that's why I have such a good relationship with him. He's a tough guy. He's tough on me there, but I love him for it, and I play for him any day.
We always hear the people that play for him, he's a player's coach. It sounds like a cliche, but it really matters to players, right? This kind of guy, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you want someone who's going to shoot you straight and tell you the truth. He's going to let you know when you mess up. You might not like the way he does it, but I appreciate it. I know a lot of players appreciate it. He's never lied to me. He's going to tell you the truth what's going on, what to expect, and it's hard to come by now.
Are you going to be sort of like a transitional voice? That there are a lot of players who remain, and they're helping the new players come in. You've kind of got an advantage. You know Coach already, so are you sort of that, what's Coach like, or people coming to you?
Yeah, a little bit. And I tell him, it's like, he's going to get after you a little bit. He's going to tell you the truth. They ask me, what's it like what's it going to be like? And I tell them it's going to be awesome, it's going to be fun, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, just for you to be able to play so close to home, it's got to be a big deal for you, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't be more excited to be here and play here where I went to high school. My head coach in high school, Coach Salmons, played here. I have so many friends whose dads played here, whose grandpas played here. I'm absolutely thrilled to play here.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Veteran, you're looking forward to that. What's the one thing you're looking forward to the most?
Probably just leading the guys, stepping into that role more as an older guy. Probably, yeah, that's exciting.
As somebody that could have entered the portal, you didn't. What made you want to stay?
Coach Gibson called me right after Coach Huff resigned or took another job. And he just gave me the spiel, and yeah, I really like him. He seems like a genuine guy. Ready to play ball for him.
Does it help that Coach Gibson? Does it help that Coach Gibson's also from the state?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he gets it. He gets what it means to be here. The history of the 75. I mean, he's probably from an hour and a half away from here, so that really means a lot.
Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Smith?
Yeah, yeah.
How's he intend to incorporate the tight ends, or have you talked to him about that yet?
No, we haven't really talked about that yet. No.
Because normally you're going one of three directions.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Basically, every offense, people don't understand this, but it's just a scheme.
Yeah.
You can only go.
I mean, everybody runs the same stuff.
It's just a matter of
yeah.
learning what he does.